Well, hello everyone, welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Oh, this is cool. We are here over the Thames in our Lancaster. This is the airplane having Lancaster. Got it in MSFS 2024. Oh, it's so cool. Let's have a quick look at the externals. This is Papa Alpha 474, Alpha Reader. And this is the BBMF Lancaster. So they always re-sticker this side. My favourite one, name for it was Phantom of the Rare. Obviously, got Alpha Leader at the moment, or Leader at the moment, and City of Lincoln, and that's the name they always keep because they're based at RF Coningsby, very near to Lincoln. I'm going to get back in the cockpit because I feel like I'm stalling the aircraft. Not really. Bit of park, wouldn't go miss them. So the Lancaster is one heck of an aircraft. Fun fact, so you will see in photos a guy standing or sitting right next to me on that bench seat. I'm the only pilot in the aircraft. The Lancaster has one pilot, and that I believe is the flight engineer. He is not a pilot, although, you know, you'd probably imagine in wartime. No, okay, I need power. Yeah. In wartime, you can imagine crews, or pilots, showing the flight engineers vaguely how to fly the aircraft in the event they are incapacitated. We are weaving our way up the Thames here, by the way, for those of you wondering where we are. I mean, the title should have given that away, but you know. You can imagine that, but like I say, only one set of controls. So if I get bored or tired, officially there's no way for me to go, you have control, and like stretch out of it. I've got to fly for the full 8-9 hours of the flight. And that is one of the things that made the Lancaster such a great aircraft. So if you look out, you've got obviously 4 engines. The Lancaster could fly around on 1 or 2 if it needed to. The B-17, which has 2 pilots, if you manage to if you manage to lose an engine, you know, someone's shot it out, kind of thing, then you were stuffed. You know, the aircraft was really struggling around. But the Lancaster, there is a war story of basically B-17s flying around on 1 engine on a trailing flight, and the Lancaster crew goes, ha ha ha, yeah, well, hold my beer, and basically flies underneath them on 1 engine. This will be the ferry crossing, I believe I'm seeing. I'm actually not 100% sure what that is over there. I'd love to know. Oh, it's just a movable bridge. That's cool. Oh. If that's publicly accessible, that might be that's a gate, like a tidal gate. Uh-oh. Yeah. Staying over the river. This thing is a ton of fun to fly. That's London City Airport. Hello. And we're now coming up to the part of London that we all know and love. So coming from the nose, that is the Thames Tide Barrier. We are basically going to actually chase the river. We're going to cut across here at Isle of Dogs, so we're going to go behind the O2. But what we're doing is we're doing a fly past of the Bomber Command Memorial. Now, that is a genuinely, like, really interesting to talk about, bit of history. So, we've all heard of the Battle of Britain. You know, the Britain's finest hour when your fighter pilots went up in some insanely awful odds and defended Britain from aerial attack by the Luftwaffe, right? However, so I'm just going to stay high because that'll be dropping down, but I'm going to stay high anyway. But you know, as all of that was going on, the Bomber Command were going out every night and bombing places. Not always in Lancasters, you know, other aircraft which were so much worse than Lancasters, so much less survival. That is the Former Naval College, I want to say, at Greenwich. They've got a nuclear reactor in the basement in there somewhere. So basically, it's how you train your submarine crews and in how to submarine. There's Canary Wharf, of course. I'm going to see if I can get a decent screenshot here, I'm not sure. Basically though, after the war, it was a lot harder politically to recognise these guys who, despite the incredible odds, you know, had, some might say, committed a war crime. So the British sort of tactic in the war became dehousing, was the term. And basically the plan was, okay, we can't hit the factories because we're flying at night, we're not accurate enough. But if we destroy all the houses, the workers have got nowhere to live and they can't come to work, and that'll affect the war effort in that way. And arguably, that's targeting a civilian populace, and that is sort of problematic for obvious reasons. But yeah, here's Tower Bridge. Oh, the temptation to go through Tower Bridge in Lancaster. I think actually it's going to be my screenshot. Whoa! Whoa! I was out of trim. So apparently you can't fly the aircraft and be in that showcase cam. I'm going to try and fly over Tower Bridge like that. That's the walkie-talkie on the right. And that's the Gherkin. And that, of course, is the Shard, and that's London Bridge Station. That is the Tate down there, I believe. Yep, Tate Modern. I was at the Tate Modern and I never noticed that building. I now need to get my GPS up for this bit. The run-in. How's the Parliament? We're all right. Hard right. Yeah, this just isn't loading, is it? Great. So I'm looking for... Okay, I'm coming for it. I'm going to go over it left to right, I think, at this rate. Yep. That is my Polar Command Memorial under the nose. That was a scuffed up fly past. But yeah, it was basically, it took until the 2000s for Bomber Command to be recognised and get their own memorial in London. You know, the Battle of Britain has one, basically everyone has one, but Bomber Command. Yeah, because of how problematic it was. But like I said, they went out and they had incredible losses. Like, your life expectancy was single digits emissions. Like, if you think Guy Gibson, who was the commander of 617 Squadron, Dambusters. Oh, that's not working, is it? Cool. I'm climbing out over just to get some altitude of London, and then we're gonna try and locate Northolt. I got the iCar code for Northolt. There's Wembley, so I'm flying in vaguely the right direction. That's the Wembley Stadium right there. No! That's the IATA code with NHT. EGWU. Heading vaguely the right direction I was, but slightly to the left. I'll have a look at the external here. It's just incredible that. Like, this is a home game. Like, if this were, like, 20 years ago, if this was a film graphic that had just rendered this angle, we'd be impressed. Now, it's just a video game. And okay, it's not a cheap video game, but it's a video game. I've flown. No, that's Wembley Stadium down there. So that's the station for thingy. That's Wembley Troubadour, so that is where Starlight Express is on. And then that is Wembley Tube. And then the West Coast Main Line, that is Wembley for that as well. And then that's, yeah, Wembley Yard. Well, Wembley Depot. And Wembley Yard. Oh no, that's Wembley Yard, that's Wembley Depot. It looks really small from up here. You know how big it feels when you're driving around at Train Sim. And there's Northolt. Northolt Tower, good afternoon, Papa Alpha 474, inbound to land. I'm going to do an overhead brake and land. It's becoming very hot and high. Never landed at Lancaster before, by the way, so this could go badly. Or at least a decent representation of Lancaster. That's 633 Squadron. Wrong one. Yes, that's a fun fact. 633 Squadron, not real. No, that's yeah, so it was Lancaster. It was Dambusters March I was filming there. I'd love a Mosquito in MSFS. Like in DCS, I wouldn't fly it because I tend to deal with like the more modern threats. But just for the excuse of tearing around high fidelity Britain, I'd love the excuse. Right, very much looks like a military pad. So we're vacating to the right. That's going to be our landing runway there, which is 07. Power off. We'll take gear down. We'll dangle up the flaps. Power back on. This canopy arch is really restrictive in terms of what you can see. Booter rudder. Another booter rudder. There's a reason you wouldn't land a Lancaster bomber like this in real life, unless you're in an emergency. Alternate rudder. That'll do. Did my gear not go down? Well, I've just mortally wounded a war hero.